Here we go. All right, I'm placing my hands on my heart, taking that breath of love and gratitude. So grateful for this time to come together, to be the two or more who are gathered in the name and the nature of love. So grateful for our willingness to have open hearts and open minds and to shine the light on any and all blocks to love. We are declaring that they are dissolving and resolving right here, right now, back to the root source from which they came in all dimensions of time and space. We are grateful for this this beautiful group that gets to come together each week, and for those who listen later, and that we get to listen with love and compassion and hold each other up to our highest potential. We're grateful for all of our earthly and heavenly helpers that surround and support us, that support the technology that we get to use to come together each week. We're grateful for the insights, for the blessings, for the love. And we're grateful that we get to share those insights, blessings, and love, and our expanding awareness with everyone because we are one with them. In grace and gratitude, we let it be. And so it is. Amen. All right. So we are finishing up chapter 21. The last unanswered question. So this is the one where I read that and then I'm like, oh, then I guess we're done. We're completely healed now. So we don't need to go any further, right? Gosh, there was so much in this, and I'm not sure if it was because I came into it with this energy when I was reading it, or if the reading itself kind of gave me a defiant energy that was having me say, well, I don't, this is not what I want. Well, I was reading it, so I have to be truthful about that. And so when I read, I'm going to go to paragraph 5, right near the middle of the paragraph, where he said, it is not necessary that he understand how he can see it, nor should he try. For if he focuses on what he cannot understand, he will but emphasize his helplessness. I thought, okay, I can deal with that. So it's not necessary that I understand how to see what that energy was about, what that feeling was about, what the lower vibration was about. And I shouldn't even try to understand it because it's futile. It's futile. It's just emphasizing my helplessness. So instead, I'm going to read it. I'm going to take a minute. I'm going to listen to some music, and I'm going to claim that all is well. All is well. Because the reality is, even if I felt like coming into this call and commiserating about how I had this low energy this morning, and the world kind of seems sucky, and like, who needs that? I don't need that. I know y'all don't need that. So I'm just going to say, I don't need to know what that energy is, and I don't need to try and figure out what it is. I'm just going to say that it is what it is. I'm loving myself through it, and I know it will change because I can count on that. So that's where I'm starting at today. Carla, and then I think I saw Suzanne also had her hand raised.
So I had that same line emphasized, but I wanted to put a little different focus, maybe the same focus, and actually it was the word focus that really drew me. We say, I know, I've heard and whatever, that we don't know what anything is for, right? So not only do we not know what anything is for, we don't know what anything is, because if we don't know what it's for, how can we know what it freaking what it is, right? So what I was stood out to me is, where if he focuses on what he cannot understand, so we can't understand it, and so the mind wants to tell us oh, we know it, oh, we know this, oh, this is the same old thing, he's done this many times before, oh, I've got this now, this is I've learned what it's. We don't know what anything is for. So how whatever we focus on, understand it. How can we understand it? Because the other thing is too, I've recognized that a lot of times I'm using the ego mind to understand, right? Spirit accepts, ego, I don't know what, there's probably many things, wants to know what, okay. So I'll just say a little, it's like a parable, but it's really my life experience. I really believe that there's no way that we are left here stranded with ego or whatever it is, this chaos, the illusion. No, truth is all the time. And I probably have a lot. I mean, that's the last question. What do I want to see what I denied because it is the truth? So here, I was in a hotel, and David named this hotel when I went to Victorville. He said it's the best motel in Victorville. It's interesting. It's just, so I'm just telling you, not because I'm upset or judging. I'm just telling you what part of my experience. So it was rather cold in Victorville. It's high desert and it's windy. And so I was cold, and I called the desk. I said, "Can I have an extra blanket?" And they go, "We don't have extra blankets." Okay. So I thought, well, thank you. And I go, "I'll take a nice hot bath then." I turn on the hot water for like 2 or 3 minutes. It was cold. It was totally cold. I couldn't take a hot bath. I could, and so I go, "I'll turn the heat on." I turned the heat on high. It was already on high. It wasn't on, it was on high. It should have told me right there. I turned it on. It's like, yeah, I wouldn't call it a heating system, but it was something coming out, lukewarm something. And so, and then I did end up waiting 2 hours and took a bath. The hot water came back. The guy told me, "You gotta let it run for 20 minutes to get the hot." I'm like, 20 minutes? No wonder you don't have any water here. And I let it go. I was thinking, "Oh, really?" But so I did take a hot bath, and it put me out. I went out to sleep, and I woke up. It was like, I don't know what time I'd sleep, 7:30 or something. And I woke up, it was like 11. And then there was some guy next door having a party. I could hear his music, every word. That motel was very thin walls. I could hear someone out on the balcony, and I could hear, if I could have probably joined in the conversation if I wanted to. But so it wasn't a bad experience. It was just an experience. And then we name experiences good and bad. It was just an experience. An experience is just an experience. So we name it something. We're using our God power to name it. So let's see if I can go back. So what was I focusing on? I wasn't focusing on the upset. I wasn't focusing on emphasizing my helplessness. I have the power of decision is our own. And it says something, it said, belief is very important too. It's the second paragraph, first line is in double color. The first line, no one believes the Son of God is powerless, but then I believed I was powerless, so I must not believe in I'm the Son of God, right? If I get upset and but the power of decision is my own. So I can choose how to respond to this. I'm like, I think I'll go next door and just knock on the door and say, I just want to, I'm here, I'm sure having a great time and having the music with, I just wanted to make you aware that the walls are like paper thin. I can hear it. And then I just kind of went inside. Should I do that? No, I didn't. And the truth was, I had slept for 4 hours. I was up for 2 or 3 playing games on the computer, on my phone or whatever. I wasn't even, I could get mad because they had the music blaring, but I wasn't even sleepy. I just slept for 4 hours. And so everything was actually fine, but I could have made that choice. And I didn't. I do I want to identify with the upset, the ego, mind, whatever you want to call it, or myself as the Son of God. The Son of God would not be upset. So I focused on praying. I focused on whenever I noticed the upset coming up, letting it go and asking support to help me. So what I'm getting is I don't, I recognize that the ego mind, whatever it is, doesn't want to believe we're the Son of God. And it wants to believe in the upset, it wants to say, this is rude, this is bad. But I focused on the truth. The last question again, that's 4 questions. Do I want to see what I deny because it is the truth? No, I'm only interested in truth. And since love is all there is, that's the only truth to focus on. There's nothing else. So that's my experience. It was a great learning experience. I feel really expanded. And it wasn't what a lot of people would name as beautiful, but it wasn't terrible. It's just an experience. So that's all I wanted to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Carla. All right, so I know I called on Suzanne, but then I think I saw you say like, no, you didn't raise your hand.
Yeah, and I've changed my mind.
Okay, good. Anticipating you were going to raise your hand.
Well, you were. Thank you, Carla. What a good story. And I noticed also that you didn't have, I mean, David had told you this was the best motel ever, and you didn't have any resentment or bad feelings about that. So just a really good story and a really good opportunity to reframe something. Thank you so much. Yeah. I wasn't going to say anything, but I had an experience just now. I had to go out this morning and get back in time for this. And I was driving along the road to my home and I was thinking, got to get back, got to set up the Zoom. So of course I had a person driving like a snail in front of me. And I thought this can only happen because I need to rush home. Otherwise, this wouldn't be happening, So, but then I thought of today's lesson in A Course in Miracles, and I said, "The light has come. I forgive you." And then, of course, the person turned onto my street. They didn't keep going. They turned onto my street and slowed right down and hit the brakes, and took the brakes off, then hit the brakes again. And then noticed that I was stuck behind it, and they pulled over. So I was thinking, I got to get home. So I started to rush by, and I thought, wait a minute. Whoa, I have an opportunity to be truly helpful here. And I have forgiven this person. And so I put my car in reverse, backed up, opened the window, and there was a man and a woman in the car, and they opened the window, and I said, "Are you lost? Can I help?" And they weren't lost. They were checking out the car repair place on the corner, but it didn't matter. I had an opportunity to, instead of being upset, like Carla was just talking about, to do it differently. I had a choice. And so I just wanted to tell you that story because, of course, I felt absolutely wonderful after, because I chose love. Yeah. So thank you.
Yay, thank you, Suzanne. Linda.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to leave about 5 minutes early. Let me say that before I forget. Oh my, this was pretty dense, all in all. I was looking at those 4 questions, in the middle of 463. Do I desire a world I rule instead of one that rules me? Do I desire a world where I am powerful instead of helpless? Do I desire a world in which I have no enemies and cannot sin? And then the final one, and do I want to see what I denied because it is the truth? And that really confused me for a while. I was just like, oh no, I don't really want to work this hard. So I agree. But, going on in paragraph 11, it was talking about, those first 3 questions are about form, on the level of form, right? And then you get to that final one, which takes care of it all, which is, it's talking about the eternal always. It's talking about heaven. It's talking about the constancy and truth. So when I operate out of that 4th question, the other 3 take care of themselves, which is what's being described here, with these a shift in perception. Now I'm having, I could have had a miracle. Now I do have a miracle. So, back to also the bottom on 7, paragraph 7, the last sentence. This is a course in cause, not effect. And there it is. It's really not a matter of what's happening out there on the screen. It's all coming from here and how I see it and what teacher I'm seeing it through, bottom line. So, and then this other paragraph, 12, sort of down to 5, and I'm going to go into 13. I was just thinking about happiness when I read this. Paragraph 5. No one decides against his happiness, but he may do so if he does not see he does. And if he sees his happiness as ever changing, now this, now that, and now an elusive shadow attached to nothing, he does decide against it. Elusive happiness, or happiness in changing form that shifts with time and place, is an illusion that has no meaning. Happiness must be constant because it is attained by giving up the wish for the inconstant. Joy cannot be perceived except through constant vision. And constant vision can be given only those who wish for constancy. And that just goes right back to that 4th question, just another way to say, choose again. It gives us 1,000 ways, So thanks.
Thanks, Linda. Yeah, and it reminds me too, it's like he's telling us here, happiness is in our hands. It's the power that we have to be happy in any given moment, or joyful, or at peace anyways. And it's our responsibility. Like Jennifer says, it's our responsibility, our ability to respond to things in a sane, loving way. And when we choose to be insane, which occasionally I do, believe it or not, then, it's my decision against happiness. And it's okay. I'll come back to happy again. It's not a big deal. It's just a moment. Just a moment. So I can be kind to myself, even when I'm choosing insanity. So, yeah, thank you for that, Linda. Anybody else have anything they'd like to share from the reading? Mara, and then Amanda.
Hi, everybody.
Mhm.
Okay, so this is really interesting because as I was reading the three first questions, and then it said, well, if you answered the first three, of course, your answer to the last one is yes. But then it broke it down that, like what Linda was saying, this constancy, am I willing to accept that I want to see this all the time? And as I was, again, looking at my own life and going, well, yes, I've been praying for peace. I want peace. But, if I'm completely honest, like I want to say yes, no. I want to change my mind, because there are times where I'm like, I want to be angry. Like I want to be the victim. I want to say, no, he wronged me, and then it says at the end of paragraph 8, it says line 3, and then it will be clear to you that as you look on the effects of sin in any form, all you need to do is simply ask yourself, is this what I would see? Do I want this? This is your one decision. This is the condition for what occurs. It is irrelevant to how it happens, but not to why. You have control of this. And if you choose to see a world without an enemy in which you are not helpless, the means to see it will be given you. So it sounds like it's so complex. Like when I think about, I really want to be, there's a part of me that does really want to be at peace with everything. But then I think about how, because when the minute details come to my mind, I get dysregulated, right? And I get angry and I'm like, well, I want that, but it seems impossible. How is that going to happen? And what it's telling me is I don't have to worry about the how. I have to choose the end, the means will be given to me. I don't have to worry about how. And that is what it says. So if I continue to remember, my goal is to be at peace. My goal is to be at one with everybody, because that's the truth. Like it said in question 4, I've denied the truth. I've denied that my brother is different than me. I've denied that he's the same as me. I believe that he's different because he's in a separate body. But in truth, this book is all about non-duality. It's about oneness. So, I have a story to share. I have 2 small stories. One is better than the other, but they both kind of point to my willingness to really see the light. One was when I went to CVS, and I swear, you guys, I thought I was really at peace before I did that. I was really like feeling centered that morning. Although there in the back of my mind, I think I've been worried about my brother. But I walked in and I went to the clerk, and she was busy. So she said, she pointed me out to somebody else because I was looking for something. She said, she can help you. I'm behind, I'm helping these customers. I said, fine. I went and asked this woman to help me, and she said, fine. But she ran to help somebody else. And I was utterly patient. I waited for like 10 minutes. She helped this woman, and I was like totally fine with it. Then she went to another lady and she started helping her. And I'm sitting there and thinking, God, help me be patient, because this is one of my areas that I know I need work on, like help me to see the light. And I'm sending, love and light. 25 minutes go by, she's helping, and I'm not exaggerating, and I'm sitting there, and now I'm feeling myself getting dysregulated, right? So totally forgot that we're in, like, the coronavirus era, and I go gently and I touch her, I nudge her, she's like with somebody else, and I go, ma'am, I know you're helping somebody, I just want to let you know I kind of asked you like 20 minutes ago, I really need your help. And she starts yelling, don't touch me, you're not supposed to touch me, in the middle of, you're not, that's not okay. And I'm like flabbergasted, there's customers now, I feel humiliated, and so I said, at this point I lost my cool. I said, please don't raise your voice at me, I'm sorry I touched you, you're right, I shouldn't have touched you, but I really need your help. And she's like, I'm trying to help everybody. And I said, well, I've been waiting and patiently, I'm okay with that, but I just wanted to let you know I need. Now, at that point, I could have chosen to just leave the store. It wasn't that big of a deal for me to have stayed and get my point across, but I didn't. So I go and, ask for the manager. The manager comes, they help me, and I tell them what has happened. Now, people have seen that other clerks are apologizing to me. And of course, I feel like shit. I don't like how I feel afterwards. No matter what somebody else has done, you don't feel good when you play the same game, So I come home and I'm like, I don't like this. So I pick up the phone and I'm like, Holy Spirit, I don't know what to do. And I try to find the manager. I call and I said, listen, her name was Lupe. I said, listen, Miss Lupe, I'm so sorry. I don't want this clerk to be fired or anything. Like, I was, waiting for something. It was just as much my fault. I touched her. I shouldn't have touched her. And she's like, no, she's not going to get fired. We're just, she shouldn't have talked to customers like that and whatnot. I said, well, regardless, I just want to say that, I'm okay with things. And I let that go. So I had to learn the hard way. That was painful. I was in pain for a while. But the other night, and this one is a good one, where my brother, who I've described, he's in his addiction big time. So he sent me this slew of texts accusing me of like trying to convince my mom to change her will so that he doesn't inherit anything. And if you know me or our family, money has never been an obstacle with, like, we give the shirt off our back to each other, him included. So like the fact that I got, and I was just like, over the years of how much I've helped out of my own pocket, how could he say that? And for a moment, the ego took over and I was like, okay, I can make a different decision right now. And I started praying for him and I started just doing this meditation that I've learned where you take in the darkness of the other person, and then you breathe it out, like the light within you transforms it and sends it to him. And I started doing that for 15 minutes and I was totally sending him light. And I'm like, that's God. That is absolutely God. So, what I'm hearing is if I choose the end, the means will be provided. That's my lesson for today. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Humira. Wow. Thank you. I could just feel that in both of those stories. The choice, the effect of the choice. Beautiful. Miss Amanda.
Hi there. Can you guys hear me? I don't really have a story or anything. I just wanted to say about the reading. Well, at first I was like, do you see that all your misery comes from the strange belief that you are powerless? And at first I was annoyed with that because I've done a lot of 12-step work in my life. And that's kind of another parallel program I use. And then, so the first step is, came to believe, or we admitted we were powerless, but it's over alcohol or it's over whatever, and I do Al-Anon programs because I have a lot of alcoholism in my family. And so, it took me a minute to reconcile that. And I was like, okay, yeah, what they're saying in the 12 steps is that you're, because everything is about being powerless. And I equated that with surrender. I've always equated that with surrender in a sense. And so it took me a minute, but then I was like, yeah, but they're talking about being powerless over an effect. And this is, and like Linda was saying earlier, this is not a course in effect. This is a course in the, in the cause. So I was like, oh, when she said that, I was like, oh yeah. But I had kind of already reconciled that with different words. But basically I was like, yeah, we're powerless over, the effects of things and how things look, but we have so much power over our decisions. And I loved how it just really, how, our choice to choose love or fear, or our choice to see something differently so the miracle will appear. And so I was like, oh, okay, yeah. I mean, it just came through so clear. I just wanted to share that message because it was like, oh my gosh, this is such a simple message of the course right here. And it made me really understand on such a different level. And then also I wanted to just say about the elusive happiness. It talks about the elusive happiness, or happiness in changing form that shifts with time and place, is an illusion, and illusion that has no meaning. This is paragraph 13. Happiness must be constant because it is attained by giving up the wish for the inconstant. Joy cannot be perceived except through constant vision, and constant vision can be given only those who wish for constancy. The power of the Son of God's desire remains the proof that he is wrong who sees himself as helpless. Desire what you want, and you will look on it and think it real. No thought but has the power to release or kill, and none can leave the thinker's mind or leave him unaffected. I went further than I thought I would there, but I just was wondering, like, how people interpreted that. You touched on it for a minute there, Linda Soto, but I mean, my thought was, again, happiness is, comes from at the level of the mind, and having that peace before, and not letting the effects of things or how things look on the outside dictate our happiness, I guess. So is that kind of how you see it? Okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
That's all.
exactly. Yeah, thanks, Amanda. Yeah, and I can see how, there are times when I'm choosing against happiness. And that's when I'm believing in the ego thought system. Because there is still within me that inner child that's walking around with the dirty face and the wild hair and the slingshot in the back pocket. I think she might have a magnifying glass in the other pocket so she can be like searching for things to bitch about, and things to, use that slingshot again. So there are times when she really is interested in not choosing happiness. She wants a battle, and that's okay. That's okay. When she's choosing that, that's okay. She'll come back around. Yeah. Carla, go ahead.
So it's interesting. I was actually, it come to my mind about the happiness thing, and Amanda talked about it, but, and this isn't part of the course, but when I broke my legs 10 years ago, I was sent here to San Diego. It's really interesting. And I went to a bookstore, and I didn't really want any book. I just found this book because when I was at the thing with David, this book stood out to me. I guess it was yellow, like a little light. It like, that's the only book that I pulled off the shelf. happy, if you can't read it, happy for no reason. This is like the first person that I think Jennifer did a one of the things she should do every year for Living Course in Miracles. She did it on this author in this book, the first or second one, I don't know. And it's happy for no reason. We often do happiness is because we're happy because I go to the hotel. I'm happy because I did this, and I'm not happy because this bad thing happened, something we name bad happened. But she talks about happy for no reason. So there's unhappy. There's 4 types of happiness. If I remember, it's been 10 years since I read it. Unhappy, happy for bad reason, which means it's no good and bad, but say like you're doing drugs or you're drinking or something. And happy for good reasons means you're happy because you have a good hotel, or your relationship is going great, or your job is so beautiful. But then if your job goes, your happiness goes along with it, because it was reliant on that job or whatever that thing was. And then there's happy for no reason, because we are just love. That doesn't need anything to be happy. Love is enough right there. And that was, so I wanted to share on that. But and the one thing that, let's see if I think I lost it, but is that this is what I hear from Hamira, from whoever, from Suzanne, from a lot of it, is it forget not, in paragraph 7, the first line. Forget not that the choice of sin or truth, helplessness or power is the choice of whether to attack or heal. And that's what I'm hearing, that people are recognizing more their choice. And also this goes to paragraph 1, line, the second part of line 2. It says, the one requirement for helplessness is line 3, actually. Helplessness is sin's condition. The one and only one requirement is that it demands to be believed. So if you don't have anything to be believed, you can just be happy for no reason. So that's what I want to share. Thank you. And I didn't make it, but this book was right here. I'm like, yeah, I'm talking about this. So thank you.
Thank you, Carla. Linda, go ahead.
In honor of Amanda's comment, I too am a 12-stepper, and I have this little token. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it says, I am powerless, but not helpless. And I keep this handy all the time. So that's all. Made me think of it.
Yep, there's a difference, right? Thank you, Linda. Leslie.
Good morning, everyone. I'm so sorry that I had to miss Amanda's share. Somebody was at the door knocking and I had to go and get it. That's one nice thing when I'm working from home. I don't care if somebody's at the door. Carla, I just really wanted to compliment you on really, truly a great job, because the ego had plenty of time for you to react. But in each situation, it sounded like you thought things through. You partnered up, you responded, and I just love first of all, I love that you didn't go over there yourself. I mean, I've had that before when somebody's had their TV blaring and my head was right there, and I called the manager. This was at a hotel though, not a motel. And the manager called the room and they had them turn the TV down. But in your situation, I think that was really wise to listen to yourself. Should I go over there or not? And listen to yourself that no, I shouldn't go over there. And plus, like you said, you were awake anyway. I love that. It's like, what, it's not like you needed to get back to sleep because you're getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, you know, your mind was torturing you, but I just, seriously, well done. That was, that could have been a tough situation. Yeah. Yeah. And Suzanne, for you too, I think that's so neat that, for some reason, I don't tend to attract those kind of drivers. My husband does. He's like a magnet. If somebody's going to be a slow driver, he attracts that. Every time I'm with him, there's a slow driver in front, and he loses his peace so bad. And well done to stop and reverse and ask if they needed help. That's very impressive too, because I know many people would have just zoomed past them to get to their thing. And you know, that's showing your light and letting it shine through. So, and Hamera, your stories were great too. I wish I had a cute story to share. Usually I have a story, but I don't have a story right now. So I'm just enjoying everybody. So thank you for sharing. I love that we can share our light and love. It's awesome. Awesome, awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Leslie. Your stories in here are legendary. So Amanda, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that something that happens to me all the time along those lines is, and no pun intended, because I'm going to talk about being in line, is at the grocery store. This happens to me all the time, where I'm in the line and I always seem to be in a hurry when I'm at the grocery store for some reason. Maybe I just want to get the heck out of there. I don't know. But like when I'm in line, then then there's like all these people in line. There's people in line that like have like a million things, and I only have 5 things, and I get annoyed for a minute, and I'm like, "Arr." And then but I've come to, in the last, I don't know, a couple of years or something, where I recognize that in me all the time, right away. And so this is what happens to me all the time, is I always just go, okay, I want to see this differently. I'm going to, take a deep breath. And somehow it always turns out that like somebody else will come up behind me, and then I'll see that they're like frustrated too, and then I'll let them go ahead of me, and then just because I know that I'm frustrated, and that might like help, I don't know, this always happens to me all the time. It's crazy. And then I'll let the person go in front of me, even though I want to like get out of there in a hurry. And then as soon as I do that, another checker opens up and calls me over. And then I'm like, next. I don't know. It just always seems to happen like that. I'm like, okay, I don't know. For some reason, I have to go through that whole thing though every time. All right, thank you.
I love that. It's like it's like you're being rewarded for having patience. Here's your candy. That's awesome. Who else would like to share? Robin.
Hi, everyone. I love the stories too, and especially when when there's a hard thing going on for someone, but at this moment you can laugh. So Carla, I was laughing a lot because I knew the story was predictable and everything was going awry. So, but I wasn't laughing at you. I was laughing with you, and just thanks everybody for your stories. I love people's stories. The sentence that moved me is in paragraph 6, sentence 4, and it says, "We said this year would emphasize the sameness of things that are the same." And this whole idea of sameness, what comes up for me is unity and oneness. And I think the underlying message we are learning that there is only one of everything, and that it's all wrapped up in love. And this idea of sameness is reaching out to the world not as all different, but knowing that spark of light and love that I believe is in everyone. And so in looking past the appearances of our differences and seeing looking for things where we can unite, looking through ways that we can not choose the conflict, but choose the harmony, finding the tiniest way of finding harmony and unity and oneness. And in that, being inspired to love the differences. So anyway, I just love this whole idea of non-duality, knowing that the sameness is our spirit, and that in our choosing the sameness, we can come out the other side appreciating the differences. Does that sound? Yeah. Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Robin. And when you were sharing that, for me, that it's like that's why the stories are so great. And I don't know if many of you know this or remember, but when I first started doing this study group, I was calling it A Course in Miracles. A Course in Miracles Comes to Life, starring you. So that's what we're doing here, is we're applying A Course in Miracles to our life so that we are the stars of A Course in Miracles, because we're applying it to our life and we're living it. We're interested in really demonstrating it through our actions in our life. Yeah, thank you, Robin. And I think I might have seen Penelope raise her hand. I don't know, sometimes I see movement on the screen. No? Okay. Sometimes I see movement on the screen and I think somebody's raised their hand. And anybody else want to share? Penelope, are you sure you didn't raise your hand? Kidding. Anybody? Nancy Gale, I was just wondering how you're doing. I know you don't have to talk. I was just know that you've been in my heart for the last few days. Yeah. I love you, sweetie.
Not well, not well.
Yeah.
So thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Who else would like to share? Well, I guess I can share something else that I might have highlighted. Let's see if there's anything that no one has talked about yet. I think in paragraph 2, let's see, 1, 2. I think it's sentence 5. My book is not marked that way, but where he talks about these are the dark ones, and that the dark ones are the ones that see themselves as helpless. These are the dark ones, silent and afraid, alone and not communicating, fearful the power of the Son of God will strike them dead, and raising up their helplessness against him. They join the army of the powerless to wage their war of vengeance, bitterness, and spite on him, to make him one with them, because they do not know that they are one with him. They know not whom they hate. They are indeed a sorry army, each one as likely to attack his brother or turn upon himself as to remember that they thought they had a common cause. And I guess when I think about that, I think about how Carla could have totally joined that army of darkness and decided that she was just going to march right over to her neighbor and knock on the door and say, turn your damn music down. It's so loud. I can't hear myself think, or, maybe Suzanne could have, instead of rolling her window down to ask that couple if they needed help, if they were lost, she could have said, what the hell's wrong with you? Why are you driving so slow? Like, we really do. There are times when we're in those dark places where we want to have somebody join in and sit in that mud puddle with us. I've been there so many times. Where, I'll call somebody and I'll just say, okay, I just want to share this. And I know that there's a million spiritual tools that I could be using to get out of this right now, but I'm just interested in sitting in the mud puddle. So here's what I have. and it's okay. I just really want to remind myself that it's okay if I'm in that space, because I'm not in that space all the time. And I really believe the imagery that Jennifer has talked to us about, how, when we're spiraling up in our awareness, we're spiraling up in our vibration, that the spiral doesn't just go straight up. It's a little at an angle. So sometimes it comes down, and what it's doing on the downswing is it's picking up some of the crap that's still there so that it can bring it up to the light part again. And so when I'm in that down part of the spiral, if I can remember that, oh yeah, I'm going to go back up again. This is not the end all be all, that I will remain in this dark, icky space. That just makes it okay to have a day, a week where I don't feel so great, where I have to play music to bring my vibration up. That's okay. It's okay, because I know that I'm healing some of the gunk I picked up at the bottom end of that spiral. Leslie and Suzanne and Nancy Gale.
I almost left the meeting on accident. I just wanted to say one great point, Linda. I love the spiral image. That's very profound. It's funny whenever, my mom and I usually talk spiritually, but if I'm really mad at Scott, I'll just be like, Scott's a rat bastard right now. I don't want to hear anything spiritual. I just want to vent. And then I vent, and then I get that out of my system, and then we're able to talk. But one of my favorite things to say is, I now ask the violet flame to encircle me, cleanse my energy, and raise my vibration. And I usually just say that about 5 times, and then I feel better. I really do. And Amanda, I just think it's neat that your vibration in the grocery store obviously raises those around you for that situation to happen. So that's really cool. And lastly, I just wondered if anybody wanted to join me in sending Nancy Gale a few Ho'oponopono prayers. Nancy Gale, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Truly, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Big hug.
Thank you, Leslie. Suzanne.
That was beautiful, Leslie. Thank you. And I think the rest of us joined in there, Nancy Gale. Sending love. Yeah. I just wanted to, Linda, listening to your story, I love the idea of the spiral being on its side so that it can pick crap up. I've never heard that before. That's wonderful. There was a movie years ago, really long time ago, called The Goodbye Girl with Richard Dreyfuss. And there's a scene in there where she's annoyed about something and he's trying to make her laugh. And she says, "I'm angry, don't ruin it." And I've never forgotten that line. It's such a classic line because don't we all go there? We've got this vibe happening and we do not want to let it go. We're going to hold on to it and enjoy it. Our ego is going to enjoy it. Yes, yes. And as far as having a hard time is going, my sisters and I always used to, I don't know who started it, probably Marcy, because she's hilariously funny. She'd say, "I'm having a bad decade," which was pretty always, whenever something was going wrong, "I'm having a bad decade." That was pretty funny. So yeah, I'm angry, don't ruin it. We can choose to ruin it. I just wanted to say that. And Abraham Hicks says that when you are in that space, just accept yourself, be kind, and say, "I am where I am. I am where I am." My husband even has a t-shirt that I made for him that says, "I am where I am." Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Suzanne. Kind of sounds like Talk Like a Pirate Day. I am what I am. I love that. Nancy Gale.
Yes. What?
Oh,
Sorry,
you
I had
did.
to-
Okay, I thought you wanted to share.
Oh, I just wanted to say what you shared about the spiral thing. Mine must have a big scoop. It has a it's like, I did their one forgiveness letter. It took me 4 hours and I got pages and pages. And it was 2 weeks ago and it's like, no more. It's like, because it's like, oh, and ever since I said, I'm not doing another one. Forget it. It's like all this stuff from like I have a whole life has been having a bad life. I can make it the whole life that way, most of it. So and I don't want to get started because I will talk for the rest of this day. So but it's really, interspersed is really it's really good. But then when I go down, it's like I come back out of it really quick. It's going down and up and down and up. But when I'm down, it's like all this history. And the thing of the word understanding. I don't know why my mother hated me. I don't know why everybody else treats me the way they do. Based on what my mother taught them about me, which I don't know what it was. Still that question, why? Does anybody know why? And then it's like so then I'm getting all these little pieces of, well, why did they do that? Or that's all fits and pieces. It's totally overwhelming me. So
Yeah, and that's why that section in paragraph 5 where he talks about if you focus on what you cannot understand, you will but emphasize your helplessness.
right. But then I read, when you read in the paragraph 2, the dark ones, I feel like I'm a dark one. It's like, I took on all the darkness from my mother and all this, and it's like, and I can't get out of it because I don't know what it is.
Yeah, we don't have to know what it is. We just have to be willing. Just a little willingness. And you're doing it. You're doing it. So you can sit in the mud puddle for as long as you want. Like, don't ruin my bad mood. Don't ruin. We can be there for a while. We're allowed. We love you anyways. So there.
I am not. Thanks for permission, right?
You're welcome.
I never had that. I was never given permission to get out of it.
Yeah.
Seriously. That's who you are. That's what you are. You stay there. And I'm going to tell everybody else that about
Yeah.
you. So they'll think the same thing. And it's like, here I sit in this mud puddle, telling the
Yeah.
truth, obeying all the rules perfectly. And it's like,
Yeah. Well, just imagine that all of us are there, standing on either side of you,
oh,
reaching underneath your arms, pulling you up out of that puddle. I don't
oh, okay. That's
quick
okay.
save.
I didn't want you all coming in the puddle.
Oh. We'll just transport your chair.
Transport my what?
Your chair.
Oh, okay.
Your chair. We're just
All
gonna
right.
transport you in your chair in the mud puddle. We're just gonna lift you out.
Thank you. Oh, you know what? I went the Scott with the celebration, even though I've only done one profound one, but he did this thing called laugh yoga, and
Yes.
one part of it he said feel the honey on your heart, and right after that he said, and we did the hug yourself, you know. And he said, feel the hug of the person hugging you from behind. And immediately I sent my aunt, before she died, she was sick, and before she died, I wrote her a letter and I sent it to her. I wanted her to know she was the only one in my life who ever showed any care for me. And 3 times, I can remember the 3 times, I was really depressed or something, and she came to me and she tried, and my mother each time told her, don't even bother, she won't work, blah, blah, blah. My mother, but she didn't walk away from me when my mother did that. And after I sent that letter, I was wondering, I didn't hear from her, but I wondered. And then we had, I think we were at it was New Year's. We were at my one cousin's new place or something. And when we looked at, I came in and we looked at my aunt, and it's like we stayed away till my mother left the room. And then she came around the table and she just grabbed me from behind and held on to me until we heard my mother coming back. And immediately when Scott said, the hug from behind, I said, oh, he said, think about that, remember that. And I said, oh my God, it's like, yes. And the honey on the heart. It's like, oh, that is so beautiful.
Yeah.
The love. Gorgeous. I put them together.
Yeah. Well, you hang on to that, my friend. We're there with you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Amanda, one quick share before we go, and then I'll close.
No, I think it was covered. It was just I was just like, thinking, oh, Nancy Gale, she was saying that, she's like, she was a dark one, and I was like, no, you're not a dark one. You're just having, it's just, at the level of the mind, having those dark thoughts. But to me, you are a light one. Thank you. That's all.
Yeah, thanks, Amanda. Yep, I would agree with that. Absolutely. We have dark moments. It doesn't mean we're dark all the time.
What it's like being, I used to say, people used to tell me that my face was like an open book. They could read me. Uncle Joe said that one time, one of my husband's uncles. And he said, you're like an open book. I can read you. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But it feels like it's like being sensitive and empathic and all that kind of stuff. I just absorb.
Yep.
Even though I don't want it, but I feel like
Archangel Michael to cut those cords.
Say what?
I said, do some work with Archangel Michael to cut those cords.
I don't know how to do any of that. So maybe.
Yeah, you don't have to know. Just ask Archangel Michael to help you cut the cords. You don't have to know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, it's time. So you better go ahead. So I won't.
All right. So I'm going to close this with, next week, We're continuing, obviously, in chapter 21, section 8, the inner shift. So here we go, shifting into high gear. The pathways of light, insights for lesson 75, the light has come. This is one of my favorite lessons. It is so uplifting and affirming. Yet when I read this lesson, I am aware of an ego aspect that tells me I am not worthy of it. It points out the many ways that I have not yet forgiven the world and asks me, who am I to say the light has come? Yet these are just the ego's frantic efforts to hold on to its place in my image of myself. For if I truly acknowledge that I have forgiven the world, the light has come. That is the end of the ego. This lesson is affirming the truth about me, not the ego lies. It is uplifting because it reminds me of what my true self experiences in every moment. My true self does see a forgiven world. It does see its light reflected back from everything it looks upon. It does experience the serenity that God would have me experience. The apparent fact that I don't experience this is simply because I have been thinking illusions were real. This does not change reality in one iota, but it does cast a shadow upon the world of light that is my reality. As I affirm again and again, the light has come. I have forgiven the world. I am both reminding myself of what is and teaching myself how to open my mind to what is. I open my mind to the light by forgiving the world. I open my mind by letting all thoughts of the past go and seeing the world as if I have never seen it before. In truth, I have never truly seen the world, for I have always laid images of the past upon it and called that seeing. It was only hallucinating. As I remind myself that the light has come, I have forgotten the world. I feel a wonderful, soft, comforting sense of peace come over me. My heart overflows with gratitude, and in joy, I offer love to the world. And only for a moment, I experience that the light has come. It is enough to motivate me to keep on practicing, letting go of the past. I want to live in the light in every moment. And so today I will remind myself again and again, the light has come. I have forgiven the world. This lesson invites me to recognize the truth that the light that is in everyone is the only truth. This lesson invites me to let go of the images of separate bodies I have made. This lesson invites me to accept only truth that could ever be real. This lesson invites me to see past illusions to the truth. The part that stands out to me most is we dedicate this day to the serenity in which God would have you be. Keep it in your awareness of yourself and see it everywhere today as we celebrate the beginning of your vision and the sight of the real world, which has come to replace the unforgiven world you thought was there. Keeping the serenity of God in my awareness and seeing it everywhere is what helps me remember that the light has come. It never left. I only put illusions in its place. As I become more willing to let illusions of uniqueness go, I am able to recognize the wandering in the wilderness of image making for what it is and not attach meaning to it. God did not make a world of separation. Our oneness and invisibility in the all-encompassing light of God is what is real, and separate bodies are not real. Truth is true, and nothing else is true. The light of God has come because the light of God is all that ever was true. This recognition brings me serenity. This recognition helps me see serenity everywhere. The light has come. Thank you, everybody. I love you all so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Linda.
you,
Thank you, everyone.
everybody. Thank you, Linda.
Thank
Have
you,
a good
everyone.
day.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Blessings.
Thank you, Linda.
You're welcome. Bye for now.
Okay.
Bye.